Dear colleagues, dear friends, first of all, let me express my warmest thanks to the organizers of this online conference and my sincere congratulations for the documentary, which precisely reflects the very moment of wonderful cooperation between the GIZ and all our countries with key players within this international, very successful legal cooperation. I only regret that such an important event will be held remotely, and unfortunately, we are deprived of an opportunity to see key players of the revolutionary process of legal reforms in person. It goes without saying that the German-Georgian legal cooperation in the field of legal and judicial reforms led to revolutionary fundamental changes of Georgian legal system and legal culture. Two persons, two individuals stood at the beginning of this historically remarkable and unique journey, to whom we all to express our gratitudes, Professors Sergei Jorbenadze and Rolf Knieper. I would consider them founding fathers of the German-Georgian legal cooperation. It is needless to say how vital the law reform was for Georgia after the collapse of the Soviet Union and soon after the gaining of state independence. The outdated laws of the communist regime needed to be replaced by new ones applicable and compatible with the rule of law, democracy, market economy, private initiative, and private property, which all were forbidden under the communist regime. The absence of knowledge of new laws necessary for market economy, democratic society, state governed by rule of law in Georgia triggered the necessity of international legal cooperation. The first visit of German Minister of Foreign Affairs, Hans-Dietrich Genscher, in April 1992 to Georgia was followed by the official recognition of Georgia state independence by Federal Republic of Germany. Eduard Shevardnadze, then head of State Council of Georgia, asked his former colleague and friend, among others, to help for his support in reforming Georgian law. In few months later, on behalf of German government and GIZ, that time it was called GIZ, Professor Rolf Knieper visited Georgia, met with Professor Sergei Jorbenadze, who was chairing the Civil Law Reform Commission. They started the German-Georgian legal cooperation, which now comes after 27 years of extremely intense, fruitful, and constructive cooperation to an end. The decision to reform the Georgian law with support the European German experts was a political decision which paved the way towards the Europeanization of Georgian law. It gave incentive for further European integration of the country. For example, the ratification of European Convention on Human Rights, and finally, it led to the association agreement and free trade agreement with the European Union. Fortunately, it is the not final stage and final point of Georgia's European aspiration. One might ask, what are the main results of this international legal cooperation with the GIZ? And why are we celebrating this event? You have already seen our colleagues from Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Georgia, and our German colleagues in this documentary. They expressed already the main results and also necessities in field of legal and judicial reforms. But I would like to highlight, in my view, the main results, main achievements of this very successful legal cooperation between the GIZ and Georgia. The new civil code and other laws reflecting the best practices of the developed legal systems have been adopted. New methods of drafting of this law, previously unknown, have been introduced. Private law emerged. As I mentioned, the private law was forbidden under the communist regime. And based on this new private law, thousands of Georgian companies and entrepreneurs were incorporated. I would say that new Georgian economy is based exactly on this new private law. So, new legal literature based on these new laws emerged. And you have seen the opinion of judges, how important the legal literature is in order to implement new laws. New methods of commentary and research were developed. The link between the court praxis and legal science was established by means of publication of the judgments and decisions of the Supreme Court and other courts. The new case law based on new laws has become available to legal scientists. And it was for the first time in the Georgian legal history. Institutional reforms for judiciary, notary, bar, or other legal professions have been carried out. I would add with a broad international support. Legal education was reformed. New methods of teaching law at the law schools were introduced. And the most important point for me is the new generation of the Georgian lawyers, backed with new knowledge, has emerged. At the same time, Georgian lawyers have received an opportunity to study abroad and benefit from the international legal cooperation. Since 1999, the bilateral cooperation was extended to other South Caucasus states, and we received an opportunity to exchange our experiences, but also our challenges with our colleagues from Armenia and Azerbaijan. The so-called South Caucasus Initiative of the Federal Republic of Germany brought together lawyers from Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Georgia. And it was a very significant step within the legal cooperation with the GIZ. These 27 years of hard work by a high number of participants, lawyers, judges, notaries, and professors who contributed to the emergence and development of the new legal culture have significantly affected the Georgian law and society. I would say GIZ has become a brand of successful international legal cooperation. I had the pleasure and privilege to be involved from the beginning in this remarkable process of legal transformation and legal reforms. We realized that the adoption of new laws was a significant step, but it was not necessary in order to implement the laws and to transform law in books into law in action. Therefore, for example, some significant problems should be solved. First, for lawyers who were trained under the previous legal system, it was a difficult task to become familiar with the new laws. The absence of special literature, such as textbooks or legal commentaries, made it almost impossible to apply new laws. Second, the old public institutions did not fit new laws. Institutional reforms, first of all, of the judiciary, were required and implemented. And third, the general public's awareness of the new laws was crucial. In all these fields, the German-Georgian cooperation, supported by the federal government of Germany, Federal Ministry of Development and International Cooperation, and implemented, as I said, by the GIZ, German International Cooperation, has played a leading role. I would like to draw attention to one more aspect of the international legal cooperation. This is the coordination of the activities of the multiple donor organizations. The approach of the GIZ has always been very constructive. Many projects have been carried out in close cooperation with other international organizations, and one of the examples that immediately comes to mind is the second edition of the commentaries to the new Civil Code of Georgia. So, an epoch of legal development comes unfortunately to an end. All participants, stakeholders, decision makers should be proud of this remarkable heritage of an international cooperation which formed legal foundation of a new state and society. I do hope that the legal cooperation will be continued and new ways, new opportunities for this will be found. At this stage, once again, I want to thank you for your attention, and once again, I want to express my warmest thanks to all our colleagues, friends who were successfully involved in this excellent cooperation.